Welcome back, and today we're talking about Moriarty the Patriot, episode 11. So, like always, let's just jump into it. I was really looking forward to this episode because I really wanted to see how Moriarty and Sherlock Holmes would kind of work together to solve this crime. This was like a little competition that Sherlock Holmes set up last episode to see who could figure out the murderer first. And I love how both characters went a little bit to like a different route of the case. Now, I will say I was kind of disappointed with the bait and switch that they did with John Watson, because I honestly thought John Watson was shot, or at the very least he was stabbed or hurt by the killer, and that was not the case. As it turns out, the murderer, when he ran outside of the little cabin, he ran into John, kind of pushed him a little bit, and that's how he got blood on his clothes. So it was a little bait and switch. I was kind of a little salty about that, but it's all right, okay? They do this all the time. No big deal. I honestly just thought that John was really hurt. But that was not the case. Now, before I continue on with this episode, let me remind you to like and subscribe. It definitely helps the channel out. But let's talk about Moriarty the Patriot, because this episode, I have to say, I absolutely loved. Seeing both Sherlock Holmes and Moriarty try to solve the same case and the way they go about doing it, I absolutely loved. We see that, of course, Moriarty and Sherlock Holmes, they're great. I've seen every little detail about the crimes, and they were able to quickly figure out that it was, an inside job. Somebody from the crew was the one that did it, essentially because, one, his drink was kind of poisoned, or at the very least he had like a drug that will put the victim to sleep. So of course, regular customers, they don't have access to that kind of stuff. That kind of was a dead giveaway that it was a crew member. On top of that, we see that somebody tried to wash the blood away. And of course, who else would do that unless it was somebody that couldn't take their clothes off, their uniform off, right? Because that would kind of be already kind of suspicious, right? Where does your uniform go when you're inside of a train? If you disposed of it, why are you hiding, right? So that obviously, all that breakdown made sense. I loved it. I love when they kind of break everything down. And I do have to say, I'm thankful that the Lestrade detective or Lestrade is there, because if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have Sherlock Holmes and Moriarty explaining everything, and I would be completely lost. So that's awesome. I love Lestrade being there, because he's like the viewers, right? He's like looking from the outside in. He doesn't understand everything that's going on. So thanks to him, they explain everything, and we, the viewers, can understand it. So good job on that, Lestrade. I'm definitely on his team. Now, I do like the way that Moriarty kind of switched it up. Instead of doing everything that, Sherlock Holmes was doing, he instead built like a psychological profile to essentially figure out who the murderer was. And he was able to do it fairly quickly. Now, here's the plot twist to this episode that I did not see coming. At first, I thought that Moriarty, once he figured out who it was, he was going to talk to them, kind of come clean and tell them, bro, we all know you did it, and this is what you're going to do in order to get out of it, right? I thought Moriarty was going to give the murderer, Eddie, I believe that was his name, like the right tools, the right information that he needed to tell Sherlock Holmes in order to get away with murder. But that was not the case. Instead, what he did was essentially set him up for murder. He did the murder. We know Eddie was the one that killed the victim, the Euler, or whatever his name was, but there wasn't enough evidence at the very least to be held up, right? There wasn't enough evidence to pin everything on Eddie, even though, Moriarty at the end said that in a court system, Sherlock Holmes would have been able to convict Eddie. It would have been hard, right? Because at the end of the day, when Eddie, he showed his gloves and he had blood, they can't test DNA, right? They can't test the blood to make sure that that blood is the same as the victim, right? They don't have that kind of technology back then. So the only thing that they could do was literally, try to pin that Eddie was inside of the cabin, that he had a motive and all that good stuff, right? That they can only produce enough evidence, physical evidence, not DNA or anything crazy like that. So of course, Moriarty knows this. Moriarty knows there's a small chance that Eddie could get away with it. So instead, what he did was kind of cut his finger and put a little bit of his blood into his glasses. Good plot twist. I honestly thought Moriarty was going to try to get him to get away with it, but that wasn't the case. Actually, Moriarty came through and was able to get Eddie arrested for the murder of the one person. So that was awesome, right? That was awesome. Now I do want to talk about Luis, because Luis to me seems a little bit jelly. I feel like he's a little bit jealous that Sherlock Holmes is able to talk to Moriarty so like they were like best friends, right? Like they were so familiar with each other, right? And I do think Luis is a little bit jealous, and we see he was kind of, you know, tailing Sherlock Holmes when he was in the bar. So I don't know exactly what's going to happen there, right? Maybe Luis is going to try to take justice into his own hands, or at the very least sever that connection between Sherlock Holmes and Moriarty. Hey, maybe Luis knows that Sherlock Holmes is a potential, is a dangerous person for Moriarty, right? Like Sherlock Holmes could potentially catch Moriarty with everything that he is doing, so he might try to remove Sherlock Holmes from the equation so that doesn't happen. Now the last bit, and this one has me hyped as well, we got to see Mycroft Holmes. Now I don't have too much experience with this character aside from like the Netflix TV show and stuff like that. But again, Mycroft Holmes, he is very smart. He knows what he's doing. So I can't wait to see how he's going to impact the story that we're getting, right? Because I do feel like Moriarty is the one person behind stealing those important documents. We know that Moriarty, his end goal is to bring like the government down, like all the nobles and all that stuff. He wants to bring all that system down and give power to the people. So even though he's going about the wrong way, you know, I feel like Moriarty is the one that has those documents. So I cannot wait to see next episode what Mycroft is going to do. Is he going to team up with Sherlock Holmes? Is he going to do his own thing? We'll see. Overall, great episode. I loved every little twist that we got in this episode. It was quite good. I can't wait to see what happens in the next episode. Now, this anime is slated to be 24 episodes. And with the next season coming, I don't know if I'm going to continue making videos on this one. It's on the weekend, so I should be able to, but having to make 3 to 4 videos a day, it is very time consuming. So I might have to cut it back to where I only make videos on Sundays on Attack on Titan and Moriarty, because you know the season is coming to an end. So you know, stuff like By the Grace of the Gods, that's gonna be done starting next week, so those videos are gonna be cut back. But we'll see where we get there. I do have to make my schedule for the next season, and hopefully it's not as packed as this one, but I doubt it, because next season is just so many good animes coming. I don't know if I'm gonna have time to watch them all. But overall, great episode. Let me know what your favorite moments in this episode was. And like always, leave a like, subscribe, and I will see you on the next episode.